FX Nation, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. And in this video guys, let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of different pairs, different from last week, that we can break down for you. I was giving it a couple days to gather some data from Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. That way we can make kind of more better projections and see what's really happening with price action and everything like that. So let's literally jump right into it, guys. Let's talk real quick about gold. I got asked about gold the other time last week, so just a quick analysis of gold. So on gold, I look at it very differently. I go straight to the 1 week time frame just to look at where we're at. You can see basically that we've pretty much been in an uptrend for a while now. And essentially what I'm looking for gold is basically to get to this point here, which is, I believe, like 1900, 1920-ish at the highest point. 1920 at the highest point, but really 1900 is really where I'm looking to go for. And then from there, really, I mean, if it gets past this 1920, I mean, you could see there's nothing above it, so we don't know how high it can go. It could go pretty damn high. Obviously, I would want to see some rejection here once we get to the 1900 and basically maybe a sell-off, to possibly a sell-off maybe to the 50 EMA, just to basically get some breathing room back again. So that's what I would like. That's what I'd be waiting for. That's what I would be waiting for on gold to do. So 1900, 1920 max, and see if that basically, if that level holds. If it does hold, you're going to see a retracement come all the way back down, and you should see it come back down pretty hard, just to get back some of this huge price movement that we've basically had since September. Since September of 2018, we've been uptrend, 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 uptrend. We haven't touched this 50 since March. Okay, so it's gonna have a time definitely to come back down to it. So I would not be surprised for that to happen again. We're getting pretty close to that point. We're probably like, I don't know what, good 500 pips or so away. So 1900, 1920 are going to be the two spots to watch on gold. All right, and then from there, really, we're going to have to wait and see if that gets rejected, and then we can see a sell-off. We'll see how far we can take that sell-off down. If not, if that breaks 1900, 1920, I mean, forget it. We don't know where it could go. Yeah, as you can see, it's never been up that high before. So think of it like Bitcoin going over 20 grand or something. Like think of Bitcoin going over that 20 grand mark where it's never been before. Same kind of concept. All right. So that's my my take on gold. Now, if we take a look at some of these pairs on EURJPY. EURJPY is going to be pretty interesting this week, as it looks like it's in a trending cycle for obvious reasons. It broke, Sunday, Monday's high here, went higher going into this Asian session, which we're in right now. So clearly, it looks like it's a trending cycle. Now, one thing that I have seen done in the past is basically them carry a previous week's cycle into the following week. So could be one of those, kind of scenarios. The reason I say that is because we're pretty close to approaching a pretty big area here, which is the 124. Make it even an even 124 area here. So that area, obviously, you can see last time that I got here basically sold off tremendously all the way back to the 200. So I'm kind of curious to see what happens essentially when we get to this point. Now, I mean, we're still, it's going to be about another 80, 100 pips or so before we get to that point. So the reason I even mention this is because I've seen to where they basically take the previous week's cycle. So let's say in this example, it's a trending cycle, right? And they basically continue it for 3 days into the next week, and then they either consolidate and go sideways or they reverse. And they don't reverse hard, but I'm saying they just stop and accumulate there for the rest of the week, so like Thursday and Friday. So very curious to see essentially what happens here on EURJPY. This is basically going to keep its trending cycle. I mean, it'd be basically 2 weeks of trending cycle, which is not unheard of or anything like that by all means. So if anything, if this ends up basically giving us any kind of, maybe coming back down like this, and maybe a type 3 or so, or even maybe a type 2 to go long. I would definitely want to go more long than short for obvious reasons, because you're in a trending market and you're going with the trend, obviously. So that's, pretty obvious as to what's going on there, what you would like to expect. So you definitely would want to just keep going with that trend. If you look at the higher time frames, which we just did, you can see that we're approaching that area here. There's pretty much nothing here. You can see there's wide open space. There's pretty much nothing, really to stop it from getting up here. You go up to the higher time frames, you can see we're basically approaching the 800 EMA. That I definitely think it's really possible. You can see when we get to that 800 EMA, the kind of rejection that we get, that it's had on the daily here. So you can see a huge rejection here. Big star pattern actually there on the daily, you could see there. So because of that, that's why I see this definitely going at least to that particular area, to the 800, 2400, this particular zone here, call it, if you want to call it that, somewhere like this area here. And then we'll see what happens from there, whether it turns around or it just keeps going straight from there. Okay, that's what I see essentially on EURJPY. So as of right now, I see it obviously as a trending cycle, because we keep making higher highs and higher lows. So as long as we keep doing that, then it should keep going up essentially. If we take a look at pound USD basically had 2 days of straight rise, literally 2 days of straight rise. So you can see how after the New York session here yesterday, we came back down, and now we're basically moving sideways here, creating this Asian session. This kind of leads to a pretty, I want to say, kind of a situation where you could end up getting some different type of scenarios here. So the obvious thing would be to follow the trend, and say it's a trending cycle. The reason that I don't want to call it yet a trending cycle is because it's Wednesday, and Wednesday could still lead to a midweek reversal. Now, as you remember, last week we had an accumulation cycle pretty much, and we said we were basically going to wait for this to pop up, and it did, obviously, breaking all these highs here from this week and the previous week. So we've been trending up, obviously, and we want to I would like to see it get to this point up here, this 28. If you look on a higher time frame here, it's basically this very top high here. So almost very similar to EJ. So we're almost there, essentially. You can see that. But so a couple different scenarios, that I could see possibly happening here. It just really depends, honestly. I don't know if we have any news at all, but yeah, we don't have any news. So for this, we could see, a couple different things. If this, so if this high is held, and you see something like this, and it's just basically consolidating, if it basically consolidates throughout London session, okay, expect the move to happen in the New York session for sure. Okay, so if you have consolidation, basically the whole London session and coming into the U.S. session, the U.S. session should definitely have the move instead. If for any reason we do something like this possibly, and we go up to retest this high, you could see basically like a type 1 going down. If we essentially do this, you can get a type 1 going up. So I mean, there's a bunch of different scenarios that it could possibly be. Again, it's Wednesday, so it's basically kind of like the middle of what it could do. So you just have to see how this behavior, how this happens basically during the London session. If it makes a straight move down, I mean, obviously, then you'd be looking to see if this stops at the 200 here, reverses like a type 1 setup to go up and go higher. If this suddenly spikes up to the top here, then I'd want to make sure that this high is not taken out, and then you might get a type 1 going down. And if that's the case, then this would be a market maker cycle. If it does this instead, if it goes straight down, type 1 to go back up, then you're looking at a trending cycle. Just keeps going up to this point here that we marked off of the 4-hour chart time frame here. Okay, but right now you can see it's pretty much in the middle of everything. It's pretty much in the middle of a major what do they call it, resistance and support area. So it's literally in the middle. We just got to wait and see what happens. All right, those were the three major pairs that I wanted to go over this week. Please comment below, like the video, share the video. Sharing, liking the video obviously helps YouTube's algorithm get this out to more people, and obviously it helps us with supporting the channel. Alright guys, if you need any more help, there's a new class starting in August. Links are in the description. Guys, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.